Hi, I'm Tony with Dan Am Company. Cleaning is important, but when you're done with that, to keep that gun functioning perfectly, you really need to invest in a good SATA gun grease. This works on any spray gun out there, but it is really important because it's a super easy to use product that when you wipe it on the parts, it stays on the parts instead of like an oil that would run off or run down the edge of the gun. So it helps to keep the job cleaner, but it's also safe to use in a paint shop. So let's make sure that you use this one, and I'll show you the important places on the spray gun where we should use that gun grease. My suggestion would be maybe once a week, but if you do it once a month, that's going to certainly make your spray gun last a long time, keep your packings working well, and not have any issues with squeaking or threads that don't feel like they turn easily. So use this gun grease. So I'll show you where I would put it on this spray gun. We're first going to take this gun apart, pull the needle out of it. Now, behind your trigger, you have an air piston, and that air piston goes in and out each time you pull that trigger through an air piston packing holder and into an air piston packing. That packing should be lubricated, and the way to do that, I like to take this spring that comes out of the back of your fluid control knob and use that as the grease applicator. So just put a little bit of grease on the end of that small amount and just touch that air piston and pull that trigger. So now you pull that trigger 3 or 4 times and that is fully lubricated. Now SATA does do a nice job of developing that air piston packing holder so that it's got almost a knife blade on the front edge that helps to scrape overspray off that air piston, so when that air piston goes in and out of that packing, it doesn't wear it out like sandpaper. The next place is on this paint needle. The paint needle slides in and out of that gun body. It's a stainless needle that's going in and out of an aluminum gun body. So you do want to keep this lubricated on that barrel that goes through the gun body. And it only needs just a real small amount on there. And then in front of that is where it goes through the fluid packing inside. So put just a little bit of grease about halfway down, not all the way to the tip of the needle, but just about halfway down that front section of the needle. And that's lubricated, and then I wipe some on the rear of it that's inside where the spring turns. The last place is on this fluid control knob. You've got threads on here, and SATA did a nice job making all the threads very large on these so that you don't have to make very many revolutions when you turn that locking nut back and forth, or when you have to turn that knob in and out of the gun body. It moves very easily, but that is all you need on there. So it doesn't have to be coated very much, just have enough on there so that it screws in and out of the gun without damaging the aluminum body if it does get debris on it, so it keeps it cleaner as well. So that would be, maybe if you did this weekly, if you use them a lot or you're washing them a lot, but if you have a gun that you don't use as often, maybe once a month, throw a little of that grease on there. The last of that, I put that grease that was on that spring that I used so it twists easily inside, because when you pull that trigger, this does rotate inside on that needle and it keeps it from squeaking and it keeps it turning and rotating very easily. So that's really the only places on the body, except once in a while I would pull out this air micrometer knob at the rear. Now in this case we have an Atom 2 dock in here instead. There's a small screw at the bottom that just comes out at about a 30-degree angle underneath. This wrench does come with each of our spray guns. Some of the guns, that screw comes in from the side, so you'll see that on the 1500 or on the primer guns. Some of the older top coat guns where that screw comes in right through the side of the body. This one goes in at an angle underneath. So now on this, there is a small O-ring in the center. There's 2 stationary areas or collars, one on each side of it to keep that O-ring in a stable place. But just a hair of, just a small amount of grease on this, and you can wipe that, and on that barrel on there, on the air micrometer itself, and that can go back inside the gun. And that just keeps that turning freely. And it also keeps, if you end up getting any kind of paint and debris or materials because you're running these through a gun washer, and they can get some material inside when you do an automatic gun washer if you're not careful. And so that helps prevent that from be an issue. But now that gun is fully functional, fully maintained, so again, if a month from now, pull it apart and do that again. If you have any questions on where to find this, just talk to your local paint distributor that sells SATA. You can get this grease, it's a 48173. The tube of this will last you a long time.